morning, good afternoon, good evening. There's one thing one can say about Zimbabweans. We are a very religious nation. Religion and our own ancestral beliefs have become an integral part of who we are. During the Liberation War, the belief in ancestral spirits was taken to another level. It was common to hear how the freedom fighters would meet up with some of the village elders in the rural areas. And one of the first things they will ask from the elders is snuff tobacco. It is used as part of our ancestral worship. When you're speaking to ancestors, you take a pinch of the snuff tobacco and scatter it on the floor, on the ground. So it is a little surprising that our politicians have all used religion as part and parcel of their politics. We know that both Mnangagwa and Chamisa have been seen mixing with the religious leaders, attending religious gatherings. And so it is not surprising that the two leaders have often even conflicted. Religion with politics. Much more so with Chamisa. Chamisa says he's a pastor. He's a pastor. And one sometimes is confused as to the separation between being a pastor and being a politician. And he has often portrayed himself as the one anointed by God, that his work is God's work. So on his ex-handle, it is not surprising that you find things like, for my God, for my country, for my people. He cannot separate the two, politics and religion. The people of Zimbabwe must remember what he did in 2023. He is the one who said to the people of Zimbabwe, Triple C was going to win those elections, and not just win big, because he had plugged all the vote rigging loopholes. A few days before the voting itself, he was telling people that Triple C was going to win. And here is, on the subject.
Makorokoto Zimbabwe nokuti hakuna munhu anomira kana denga raronga plan. Denga raronga plan, denga harifo iri. Plan yaMwari haifo iri. Ini ndatanga kugadzira cabinet. There is no way we are not going to form a new cabinet. There is no way we are not going to have a celebration. There is no way we are not going to have an inauguration. Let's start preparing for our inauguration. Let's start preparing for our celebration.
Well, the truth of the matter was, he was lying. He told the people of Zimbabwe that he had plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes. Triple C was going to win big. And yet, he has since acknowledged that ZANU-PF rigged those elections. The very thing that he said was not going to happen. What is annoying here is that he has never admitted that he lied to the people. He said on one hand, he had plugged all the vote-rigging loopholes to stop ZANU-PF rigging the elections. And yet, on the other hand, he acknowledges, just as all the other election observers, including SADC and the AU, acknowledge that ZANU-PF blatantly rigged those elections. The very thing that Chamisa said will not happen. There cannot be any confusion there. You cannot say one thing, and then when it fails to happen, you cannot deny that you had lied. But most significantly here, he had said God was in it, as we heard in that video clip. It is God's plan. So he must now acknowledge that when he said God was in it, he was lying to. He was invoking the name of God falsely. I think one of the things that we have got to understand as a nation is that we should not confuse politics with religion. Let's separate the two. Because when a political leader hides behind religion, says God was in the plan, how are we going to hold him to account? Or are we going to hold God himself to account? The emphasis here is that God was not in any of Chamisa's harebrained schemes. He was lying when he was invoking the name of God. And I think the people of Zimbabwe should demand that we separate politics from religion. The two are distinct matters here. You cannot talk of your political policies and invoke the name of God. That is totally unacceptable. You have absolutely no excuse for invoking the name of God when you know that God has nothing to do with it. When it has been shown again and again that God has nothing to do with it. The same applies to ZANU-PF. Mnangagwa and his ZANU-PF colleagues have deliberately conflicted state with party. anything that is done by the state should be separate from what is done by the party. For instance, the party has been distributing, particularly during the rainy season, seed and fertilizers. And yet, again and again, you find that it is being distributed in the name of the party. And yet, it is the state, the taxpayer, who pays for it. There should be no confusion there. The aid should be given to everyone, regardless of your political affiliation, because it comes from the state, but not with our politics. ZANU PF has made seen to it that when it benefits them, the party and state merge. Indeed, the party emerges and dominates the state. That cannot be accepted. But we also know that in our political system, the reason why we still have these problems is because our politicians are creatures of habit. In Shona, we have got a saying that charovedzera, gudo rakakwira mawere kwasviba. Our politicians are creatures of habit. It is their advantage to confuse and conflict politics with religion, party with state. But I think as a nation, we really need to stand firm and make sure that they do not do that. When Chamisa says hashtag God is in it, he must be very clear that he should not confuse politics with religion. We have got overwhelming evidence to show that each time Chamisa has claimed that God was in his politics, harebrained political policies, it turned out that God was not in it. Zimbabweans are going to face 2028 elections in 3 years' time. The last thing we want is for the nation to be conned to participate in those flawed elections yet again, because they've been conned to believe that God was in it. The people of Zimbabwe must be very clear. There is a clear distinction between religion and politics. And they should not let the politicians confuse them and take advantage of them because of it. Think about it. Thank you very much. Have a good afternoon.